A retrospective biography of Ai WeiWei. Ai WeiWei is the son of writer Gao Ying and poet A King. It seems he was born to be an artist. His father was very well known in China and had been imprisoned by the nationalist government before his birth on suspicion of being a leftist. After the People's Republic of China was founded, A King was accused again, this time being exiled. But this time he was accused of being a rightist. So, kind of interesting that he went from being accused from a leftist to a rightist. But anyways, his family was exiled when A was only 1 year old. His father's poetic artistry and the family's precarious political situation were to have a deep effect on the artist. The family lived in exile for 20 years. Then they were allowed to return from exile after Chairman Mao's death in 1976. This allowed the 19-year-old A to enroll in the Beijing Film Academy to study animation. Within a couple of years, he was one of the first members of the Stars. This was a group of artists who wanted to reintroduce the art of self-expression to China and the freedom of self-expression. After decades of Mao's policy of art serving the communal interests of the state, A also took part in a number of pro-democracy marches and rallies. In 1981, he moved to the United States, studying in fashion at various institutions, trying to improve his English. He eventually moved to New York, where he studied design, actually. He dropped out after 6 months, and instead he tried making a living as a street artist and odd jobber. He stayed in New York for 11 years. During this period, he also traveled around the United States and became interested in the game of blackjack being played all throughout casinos. He became so adept at the game that U.S. blackjack players know him as a professional gambler rather than an artist. A's first solo show, Old Shoes, Safe Sex, was held in New York in 1988. He would go on to do numerous art pieces that became famous. In 1996, his father passed away. A had identified his father as the single most important influence on his life. The year 1999 was a turning point in his career, and he chose to represent China at the Venice Biennale, which was a mark of high honor and geopolitical distinction, a development that lifted him into a high visibility role into the international area. A has always been a political activist. Since 1999, however, his visibility in the public eye, both in the West and in China, has been seen as an active threat by Chinese government officials. Drastic effects on the part of the government to limit his communication with broad audiences has somewhat paradoxically motivated him even more to spread the word against China's government.